The Subway 300, presented by Labor Ready on Fox, is brought to you by Labor Ready. Dependable temporary labor guaranteed. By Red Wing Comfort Force Work Boots with Super Sole 2.0, boots that work all day. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, we keep America running. And by Subway, showing the world how great a fresh sandwich can taste. Subway, eat fresh.
Welcome back live to Talladega, Alabama. Glad you're spending your weekend on Fox. Tonight, it's Cop's 15 greatest moments of all time. Don't miss this outrageous 2-hour Cop special event tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, only on Fox. That's right. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Subway 300 presented by Labor Ready. Cops everywhere will be glued to the set tonight. A major crowd. The population of Talladega only about 20,000. Have 180,000 tomorrow. Great crowd today watching the Busch race. Joe Nemechek 2 years ago, Jeff Hammond, lost by a bumper to Terry Labonte in the Busch race. He's the only two-time winner in this, of course, the 10th Busch race at Talladega. He has slipped now from the lead to second. How is that position considering where we are in this race?
I think Joe's exactly where he wants to be. He's kind of sizing up his competition, figuring out where he needs to be as the race kind of comes to a conclusion. He realizes he's still got to make one more pit stop, and that'll kind of set the stage as far as where he needs to be. But if he understands a weakness maybe in Spencer or the couple of guys he's racing around behind him, Skinner, Purvis, that way he'll know whether he wants to be leading or wants to be running second or toward the end. So I think it's some good strategy on his part. He's a real smart racer. He knows how to win here at Talladega.
Former Busch Rookie of the Year winner and won a Busch Points Championship in '92. Mike, let's go down to Matt. Matt Yoakum is with Randy LaJoie.
Well, the 7 car, Chris, has pulled behind the wall. The crew guys taking a look. Wally Rogers, the crew chief, actually looking at the Oberg filter, trying to see if any metal might have stuck on that filter, signifying maybe an engine problem. Randy LaJoie entered this race 9th in points. Randy, what happened?
I'm not quite sure. We had a good race car. His car was running great. I started getting a little bit of smoke inside, come in and got an oil leak somewhere. I lost a lot of oil. I don't think it hurt the motor, but we'll try to find a leak, put some oil in it, go back out and make some laps.
A tough break for Randy LaJoie. Came in this, like we said, 9th in points, only 78 markers out of 5th. Tough break. So that's changed.
Unscheduled pit stop. Hank Parker.
Going under the hood. Several guys have the engine trouble. The 17's out there running around with something wrong with it, and
knocking pretty bad, Billy.
It don't sound very good, even through our audio right there at all. Motor didn't sound good at all.
It sounds off now. Tough day for Hank Parker Jr. Only one caution so far at lap 24. Kevin Harvick getting turned around coming off turn number 4. And now these 5 cars have gained some distance on the 13 car pack behind them.
4 Pontiacs and that one lone Ford of Jeff Green. And behind them, a while ago, it was Kenny Wallace and Jeff Purvis with Kevin Grubb by themselves. Now they've got a group. They're single file. They're starting to catch this lead 5.
And one of the things there that we alluded to earlier in the show was gear selection. When you've been out there by yourself qualifying, and you never know what these engines are going to turn until you get into the real draft like you're in the race situation with so many cars, and could have pulled the wrong gear and could be hurting some of these engines. What about it, Jeff? What do you think about that?
Daryl, right after Daytona, and especially after Atlanta, I kind of did some research on this engine program. What is going on is everybody knows NASCAR came with a different combination for the Busch Series this year. A lot of the engine builders still have not quite figured out how heavy a rod, what type of piston they need to run. You're seeing this today when these engine failures. And the one point I'd like to add here is that these guys can't change engines like a Winston Cup car. So when they qualify it, they get it hot, they may damage it, they get out during the course of the race, and these parts are starting to fail on them. So they're going through a learning curve of learning that you can't abuse these engines. You can't get them that hot. Today may be a perfect example of that.
Well, if you're Jimmy Spencer, you don't want to see this next graphic, because Jimmy Spencer is the leader. We've just crossed the halfway point. The halfway leader's never won this race.
Wow.
That's a surprise.
How about the guy running second? I wonder how many times he's won it.
55 laps to go in the Subway 300 presented by Labor Ready. Jimmy Spencer leading Joe Nemechek, McLaughlin, Todd Bodine, Jeff Green, and Kenny Wallace. We'll be right back. NASCAR on Fox has the Subway 300 from Talladega Superspeedway presented by Labor Ready. For you today, Jimmy Spencer continues to hold the lead at 61 laps, trying to become the 8th different winner this season. What is the record for most different winners in a Busch Series season is today's Pep Boys trivia question.
Can we guess?
Well, of course.
12.
14.
Happened twice, 1988 and 1989. And the answer is 18 different winners.
Wow.
18 different winners. Couple interested onlookers next door in the NASCAR booth. Good to see Bill France Jr., the chairman of NASCAR, here. And Rusty Wallace is bending his ear.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I don't think it's good.
5 cars have been able to hold a breakaway from the field, but 6th place Jeff Purvis is pulling that pack right up to them. It's not going to be just 5 cars for long.
But the one factor in about 10 laps, everybody's going to be on pit road, and it's going to really be chopped up then because we're about 10 laps away from these cars, 10 to 15 away from a green flag stop.
Well, then I guess it's time for you folks to exercise those speakers and kind of turn things up here. So why don't you crank it up a bit and enjoy the sounds of NASCAR Busch racing on Fox. Well, so much for that 5-car pack. It's now about 13.
But, you know, again, let's talk about the strategy. Right now, if the caution should come out, they're in a window. They could make it to the end of the race. But Jeff Hammond, I'm thinking green right now. I'm making deals. I'm running up and down pit road. I got my spotters working. What I want to do, I want to get to pit road. There they are making the deals. The deal makers are going. I want to get to pit road with not too many cars, but enough dancing partners. And I want me 2 more right side tires, make sure that thing's full of fuel.
Exactly, Larry. Way I calculated out, I was sitting there thinking that you could go probably around 50 laps, and that'd put you about 75 laps as far as your pit stop's concerned. You were talking about stopping the next 10 or 15 laps, but trying to figure out, do you want to stop early? Who do you want to stop with? To me, I'd want to go as far as I could, see what everybody else does, and then try to come maybe with 2 or 3 of the best cars and make a quick stop. Like you say, get 2 tires, and get down and get going.
How about it, Steve? Who's got the high car?
Let's find out from the crew chief, Tim Shutt, who works with Mike McLaughlin. Tim, I noticed you talking with Brian Patty, the crew chief on the 87. What is your pit strategy? When will you stop? What will you do?
Well, we'd probably like to stop with whoever's leading the race. I mean, the front 2 cars right now are probably the fastest 2 cars out there. So we've been able to work with those 2 cars better than anybody else today. So unless things change around a whole bunch, we'll probably just come in whenever they do.
All right, thanks, Tim. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
The car that Brian Patty, the crew chief for Joe Nemechek, has prepared is running in the 2nd position. Brian, when do you plan on making your final stop?
Somewhere between 75 and 80. I'm not real sure who's going to come with us, but there's 3 or 4 guys that are good friends of mine, and we'll see if they're really good friends, you know. The 1 car looks really tough, and the 20, the 18, I mean, the same guys that were at Daytona are the same guys here. Todd running Buckshot's car is running good. But, I mean, we'll see. Between 75 and 80, we'll see who's friends.
2 tires or gas and go?
To be determined.
To Dick Berggren.
Representatives of Jason Keller's team, Jeff Green's team, and Kenny Wallace's team have all been down here talking to Johnny Allen, crew chief for Jimmy Spencer, trying to cut a deal. Meanwhile, Mark Reno, his regular crew chief, is way up high. He is spotting. Allen and Reno have decided to bring him in after he takes the lap 77. After he crosses under the start-finish line on 77, he'll be in the next lap. May take 2, may take none. That hasn't been decided yet.
But guys, the car that could dictate this strategy, remember the 00, Todd Bodine. He was on pit road with everybody else around lap 23. His strategy, 4 tires and then 2. He's going to be the one, I think, that dictates these guys take only 2 tires.
Yeah, the only thing I'd be worried about as a driver is don't get me run over. Don't get me run over when I come down pit lane. Get me in with everybody. Let everybody know when I'm coming.
All right, Randy LaJoie is back on track to fish for points. So is Matt Kenseth. We'll be back with more of the Subway 300 presented by Labor Ready when pit stops come up in a minute.